All right, hi everybody, and welcome to another installment of Ozzy and Keats. We're not great, we're just okay. John Keating here at the Oddside Ales Tap Room in Grand Haven. Chris Osgood there at his palatial mansion in suburban Detroit. We are brought to you through the help of Podcast Nation in Troy, Michigan, and we are brought to you by our terrific friends at Meyer. We could not be any more thrilled to have Meyer on board on the Ozzy and Keats podcast. Meyer brings more good to every game day, and no one knows more about game days when he was playing than Chris Osgood. As you watch games now, what are you snacking on? What
Before the game?
As you're watching the game? No. As you're watching it, if you're sitting at home watching games now.
If I'm watching a game and I'm happen to eat something during a game, it would
Yeah.
probably be. I don't like chips. I really don't. I used to love chips in Canada, ketchup chips. I don't know if everybody knows what those are, or
Ketchup
barbecue
chips.
chips.
Wow.
But I'm not like
Wow.
a big chip guy unless I'm north of the border. So if I'm going to eat something during the, honestly, it's boring. I'll have like a power bar. Or I'll eat like maybe
Oh,
popcorn. But it
come
depends when the
on.
game is. What time is the game at? Are we matinee? Are we
Yeah.
like a 7 game? Or are we late game? If it's a late game,
Okay.
that's a totally different story.
You eat healthier than the rest of us, and Meyer has that stuff for you as well, as they bring good to every game day. We need to tell everybody right up front that when we started this little venture, we had no idea where it was going to go. It's proven to be very, I think, certainly not something that people enjoy watching. It's a favorite of many, and our first guest is going to be our guest again because Mickey Redmond is that good. We could not be any more thrilled to get one of the kings of television on the
No,
podcast yet again.
he's our Ed McMahon. That's what he is. He can come back
That's not
whenever he
bad.
wants.
Yeah, anytime he wants.
Anytime
He
he
wants.
wants.
He's going to join us in just a bit, but as we begin here, I want to share with you, it's not just the podcast, although that takes up
Yeah.
most of my time, but
As-
you know that I always like to write, and and I fashion myself as somebody who's a pretty good writer, and I want to do some voiceover work, and so I went down the rabbit hole of seeking out possibilities where people would need somebody to write something or voice something that might be good, and so I have been sent a string of jobs open that I might be interested in based on my experience.
Really? Is this for real or fictional?
This is for real. No, this is for real.
Okay. Right.
Because once you're down this rabbit hole, they try to find jobs for you, and among them, I've had you could help pose the kids at a portrait studio. They suggested that I would be good at that. I've been told that I could be somebody who hands out the samples at Costco. They thought I would be good at that.
That I'd like to see.
But the most recent one is that it has been suggested to me that I be the music therapist at a senior sing-along.
Oh my gosh. Well, you fit the bill. I mean, you'd be popular there because you bring in the flasks and they like that. You could get everybody rolling. But you're singing along at a senior.
Yeah, I mean, it's
living
we're singing to yacht rock. We're singing to the best of the '70s and the '80s, probably. And I'm getting the
100% you are.
I'm getting the folks up and singing, and so
I'm
we'll see if that goes.
You orchestrating the YMCA at an assisted living.
Oh
my God.
Arms are flapping all over the place, and
depending on where you came from, you could be knocking people out, backhand people. Oh my God. So you put this on the internet, or what did you do here?
Yeah. You hit a button, and
Okay.
I probably shouldn't have hit the button.
Great.
I think we can all be accused at some point of hitting a button on the internet that we shouldn't have hit. Yours is a whole nother story, but it's like once you put, and it's like you click on the button for more details, and all of a sudden you have applied for the job. Now, this is more work than I need at this stage of my existence.
That would be good
but
for a show. Like every 2 weeks, you should try a new job. and like just go and do it twice, and then we can talk about your experiences
Yes,
at it. So
right.
that'd be
We'll have a
fantastic.
camera following me
Oh my
around.
god.
Oh,
Like a
oh
nice
man.
firm weekend in the in the woods section at Home Depot for you. That would be
Yeah,
good.
I know. I know.
Oh my god.
But speaking of our senior friends,
Yeah.
you were sharing with me that you had an exchange with a couple of women who are enjoying the podcast, right?
Yeah, I was at grocery store and they came out of the car, parked right next to me. Two lovely women came out and said how they, which, and now again, I thought I was getting like there's candid camera getting punked, talking about how lovely you were. And I was looking around thinking to myself, okay, has somebody set me up? Because the timing of it was impeccable. I pulled up, I went in, I came back to get something. They pulled right in beside me. And the thing was, there was like every other spot was empty around there where they could have parked, but right beside me. And they started bragging about how great you are and how much they miss you and all this stuff.
Oh,
And I
gee.
said, well, I said, ladies, I said, it's tough to get a hold of him right now. I'd love to call him for you, but he's at happy hour. And you know what they said? I bet he is. And they started laughing and they loved it. But
I
it was,
I think well, yeah. I can't dispute that because I am, after all, in a
yeah,
bar as we record this to your great
it
delight.
was great.
Uh,
It was great. They were,
oh man.
they loved the show, and we did our little hockey variety show there, and they were adamant in missing you. And I told her, you know, you're in the minority with that. Not a lot of people do.
Yeah,
So,
I know. The
like,
truly,
God
yeah,
bless you.
yeah,
God
yeah,
bless
I
you.
know. I know. Hey, questions for Ozzy, brought to you by Meyer. Meyer is your one-stop fan shop from team-branded gear to tailgate essentials and snacks for watching from the couch. Meyer stores give fans everything they need to celebrate game day their way. So from our friends at Meyer comes this question, and this is from Chris Treviglia. Hello, Lewis. Hello, Joe. Although Ozzy's most popular April Fool's Day game was in 1998, there is another from 1995 that should be noted. Sports Illustrated says that you pulled off one of the greatest snow jobs in NHL history before a penalty shot.
Oh yeah.
Could Ozzy fill us in on the alleged shenanigans?
In Dallas, Dave Reed, who is in my hat trick club, he had a hat trick against me, along with Alexander Daig. It wasn't the best guys that had the hat tricks, but it was, I don't want to say, but Dave Reed, respect him a ton. He had a penalty shot in Dallas. Back then, there's tons of snow on the ice. He didn't have the car ice crew or the Dallas Stars girls, just to mention a few.
Oh my
And
gosh. Here we go with the Stars girls again.
and so there's tons of snow on the net. It was kind of the goalie's job. The ref would come over and say, you know, move that snow into the net or whatever, but you used to pile it up on the side of the net. So if guys wrapped it around, they couldn't, they kind of inhibited them. So I took all the snow, which was a lot, and I put it at about the hash marks, and I put like a wall, about a inch wall right across. I didn't want to put it too high because then you might be able to see it. And Dave Reed skated right into it, and the puck stopped right where the snow was. The snow stopped it. So it was like a little wall of snow across there. And they didn't see me do it. Back then there was no cameras. I mean, they weren't really on you. They come back and they throw the penalty shot or they throw it quick. So there wasn't a lot. Nowadays it'd be impossible to one because there's no snow on the ice anymore. They really keep that nice and neat. But that was part of it. I used to put it like in overtime, John. I put it across the goal line just in case one trickled
Just
and it
in
would
case.
stop. Just in case, just like my life, I do this, but just in case I do this. And so I would put it like if it was going overtime, you'd have time. But back then it was 10 minutes of 5-on-5. So now we're getting right down to the gritty. I would put it across the goal line thinking, hey, if we had a scramble and the puck was trickling, that it would stop it before it went in. So yeah, I
And
did all that stuff.
did that ever happen? I mean, did your snow fence ever actually work?
Yeah, a couple times. It was trickling around and it didn't end up going in by the
Okay.
post. And the
All
ref
right.
would go. The ref
So
would always go.
you were cheating. You were
Then
cheating
the
is
ref,
what you
then
were
the
doing.
ref would come and go, Chris, but there's no cameras. You know you can't do that. Like a very matter of factly question of like not fully reprimanding you, but say like, come on,
Yeah.
like don't make us look ridiculous.
Yeah. Right.
So this is
But
good.
but how many times have you been told those exact words, Chris, come on, you can't do that, by your wife, maybe by the cops, I don't know. You
Well,
know,
by Janet,
coaches.
every night
Yeah.
by Janet at about 10 to 11 p.m. I hear that exact phrase. And I say, "What do you mean there's
Come
no
on,
ripples
Chris.
tonight?"
You can't do that.
I say, "There's no ripples tonight. What do you mean?"
All right, and as
God
we
bless her.
record this, we're gonna
God
get
bless.
to God bless her. We're gonna get to Mickey Redmond in a second, but as we record this, the Red Wings just completed their fan fest, which was a
Yep.
great success downtown.
Awesome.
Celebration of 100 years of hockey, and
Cool
around
stuff.
that, a viewer of this podcast and maybe a
Yep.
Chris Osgood stalker sent to me 2 pieces of video that were the very beginnings of Chris Osgood's TV career. We want to play
Oh,
one of them for you right now as you grab the mic from our friend Fred Human and interviewed Mike Vernon.
To the playoffs, Mike, did you have any second thoughts when we were in the St. Louis series, when we were in St. Louis and we were beating in game 2? You remember what I said to you in the hotel that night, what was going to happen?
Chris said to me he had a good feeling, a good inkling that we were going to go to the Stanley Cup and win it all. And Ozzy predicted it. He did win.
After the game 4 loss to St. Louis, we lost 4-0 in St. Louis, and we were back at the Athenium Hotel, I think it is. We're looking for 3 rooms at the Athenium, me and Mike. And
Your playbook there, did you?
no, we didn't. But 2-1, Mike. What's your feeling right now? You winning the cup with Calgary right now. How do you feel? I mean, Detroit's been eager for a Stanley Cup for a long time now, and now we're here. Plus the Conn Smythe at the same time is unbelievable.
I used to have a job here. Go ahead. You're done. I know it. You're unbelievable. Answer his question. Answer. I can't take this guy serious. He can be tough on reporters sometimes.
I'm apprenticing for a job here. Now, you got to be serious. Winning the Conn Smythe and winning the Stanley Cup at the same time in this city, Detroit, these fans, and doing what you've done. How exactly? What are your feelings? Put them into short words for us here.
Very good, Chris. Very good. Short words. Satisfying. You know, they traded for me, and I mean, it's. We had much disappointment a few years ago against Jersey Devils, and all I can reflect back to is that feeling that I had in Jersey, losing 4 straight, getting the opportunity to play this year, and just seizing the moment. And, I mean, the team continued to get better with every series, and it's an unbelievable feeling, and we'll never forget this moment. Will we, Chris?
No. Well, Mike, playing with you for 3 years, I think we've become good friends, and I'm very happy playing with you. I mean, we've done it together. I feel like we've come a long ways here together. And, I mean, I've never played with a better guy.
Can I ask one question? Mike?
Sure.
There was a sign in the stands the other night. I don't know if you saw it. It said, "Bernie, we apologize." No, it said, "I apologize." It could have said, "We apologize," because there are a lot of people on your butt and talking about your 5-hole and saying Vernon can't be the goalie to lead this team to the cup. I ask you the same thing that I asked Scotty Bowman. Is there any part of you that wants to say, take that? No, I think it said it all when they handed me the Stanley Cup, and that said it all. I mean, there's no doubt when you get as close as we did a couple years ago, and there was much disappointment. I know the fans were disappointed. Everybody was disappointed, and I don't think anybody was as disappointed as I was. I'm my worst critic and hardest on myself, and I demand a lot from myself. So I mean that is just part of professional sports, and to get an opportunity to come back and redeem myself, this is unbelievable. You're a real warrior, and I hope this guy understands this will make him a better goalie going through this experience, because it will. Well, there's no doubt. He's a great goaltender, and he is one of the finest young goaltenders coming up, and I'm sure he's going to have his moment too. Chris, you're a part of this. Congratulations.
Thank you. This is my moment, Bernie.
And nice job on the interview, by the way.
Well, Fred, I don't want to take your job away here.
You just did.
A couple more questions.
Can you throw it? Where do you want to go, guys? Back to the studio or to Bernie? Will you throw it back to the studio at WDIB for us? Go ahead. Talk to that.
WDIB?
Check out what I got to say. Throw it back. Who's back there? Throw it back to Emery and Devin.
What do I got to say?
Throw it back to Emery and Devin to the studio.
All right, so there you go. There is you and Mike
Oh, yeah.
Vernon And what I mean, that was the very beginnings of a party to end all parties.
Oh, was it ever? I mean, I remember that, and that was one of the things to skip ahead when you don't win at '08 at home. You miss that. Everybody's there, and you kind of remember the party you had in the locker room with everybody. So that's what you're hoping for. But that never turned out. But wow, was that our first time we won in a long time, the franchise? I got along with Vernie great. He was awesome. He's one of my goalies I looked up to when he was playing for the Calgary Flames. So it was pretty cool for me to get a chance to play with him in the NHL. It was him and Grant Fuhr always, and I get to play against Grant Fuhr, obviously. But Vernie and I would always talk, and we'd sat right beside each other, and we wouldn't mock interviews, but I'd ask him questions about the game jokingly, like because sometimes the questions he got were ridiculous, and I'd still be here. Back when the media could rush in right after the game, he'd still be sitting there, and so I thought I'd interview him, and Fred Human was kind enough to put up with our
Oh, he
antics.
loved it. Yeah, he loved it.
Beer, and so we had everything covered. We had the beer, we had the cigars, so we were well on our way. And to be honest, you said that to me, I didn't even remember that, and so I was so happy that you did. And I sent it to Mike Vernon, and he's gonna love it too. He hasn't got back to me, but he is 62. He's elder like yourself, so things take longer.
Oh my gosh.
But he will love it. It's stuff like that you forget about. You remember all the games and stuff, but I would totally forgotten about that. And actually, when I sent it to you, I thought it was the one with Ray Lane at first, but it wasn't. That was the other one you sent me. So I forgot that I'd done that with Fred Human.
Ray Lane just passed away, one of the greats, and Fred Human. He got a huge kick out of the fact that that was shared with you. All right, Mickey Redmond in a second, but speaking of being elderly and getting near the end, and I don't want to pull down the podcast any more than we already do. I mistakenly suggested to you about someone that we know, and you said he passed away, and you thought that was funny that I didn't know that person had passed away, and that brought up one of the strangest things that ever happened to me in broadcasting. And I actually found the script because I had taken a picture of the script. It was a day in which the Red Wings were playing the Arizona Coyotes, the Phoenix Coyotes. They might have been there. And the line was, the hockey franchise in the Phoenix area has gone through an ownership change. They've announced plans to do a new building and made a commitment to the kids. Alan Thicke doesn't have the growing pains of this franchise. I wrote it. Alan Thicke doesn't have the growing pains of this franchise. A reference to, of course, Alan Thicke and Growing Pains, the show on which he was. And so minutes before the start of that show, came word that the great Alan Thicke had passed away. He had a heart attack while playing hockey in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
But it was truly creepy to me that I had written that in the afternoon, and then Alan Thicke, we got word, passed away, and I just couldn't believe it. It sent shivers down my spine.
Well, thank goodness we didn't read it. I mean, very few times.
Something I did.
To me, I go look back. There's very few times things don't leave your lips that shouldn't. So I was happy that you actually caught that one. There's many.
Pulled one back.
Yeah, there's very many lines you said on there that you probably couldn't say anymore, but I did love them at the time. It made it what it was. But
oh my gosh,
that was weird because we were sitting there and you said it, and I said, I think I got it somehow. And that was, I grew up watching that show. So
I know. Yeah.
I mean, obviously I love 80s shows and
God rest Alan.
God bless him. Yeah. Great Canadian.
Just sharing that story. All right. Mickey Redmond on the other side of this. Meijer fuels the fandom that brings people together, whether it's powering your pregame feast, gearing up for the season, or supporting the teams that make our cities proud. Meijer, to make every moment of fandom even bigger, better, and more unforgettable. And there is no one who is more unforgettable than Mickey Redmond, who joins us now on the Ozzy and Keats podcast. All right, we've got the band back together. I'm not sure this is the best idea for the three of us to reconvene here, because one of us probably smartly stepped away. But there's Mickey Redmond joining Chris Osgood and myself. It's great to see you. It's great to see you.
We miss you.
Yeah,
we miss you.
Well, I'm watching with great delight as the Red Wings play this season. uh, as we bring you in, I want to get some of your favorites. So, and Ozzy can join in here too. What was your favorite? What was your favorite rink?
Oh, wow.
As you played, as you knocked around the NHL back then,
Oh,
which one
God.
did you
Well,
love? Which one did you love playing in?
I don't think I loved any of them because your life was in your hands, and every time you went on the road, when you're, you're playing in enemy territory. I mean, they had the Gallery Gods in the old Boston Garden. Chicago Stadium was like Olympia on steroids. Did you ever play in the Chicago Stadium, Ozzy?
Yeah, my first year,
The old one.
I
Yeah.
was blessed. My first year, Mick, that was the last year of all the stadiums, Boston, and Chicago. That was their last years. I got to play in St. Louis, that old barn where they played the beer song when they came out.
Yeah.
And you walked through the crowd, and they just gave it to you as the kid came on the ice. So, so I was real fortunate. Never played in Boston, but stood on the bench. The bench was just a little bit bigger than the penalty box. You could barely fit on there, everybody. It was unbelievable. But,
Boston Garden,
great-
you mean?
Yeah, Boston Garden.
Boston
yeah.
Garden, the visiting team, John, had to go through the Boston Bruin bench to get to the
Yeah.
locker room. That's
my
why a
gosh.
lot of the Donnybrooks got going over there, because it two different colored jerseys getting together like that, not a good mix.
And you're chirping during the game, right? There's constant chirping as you're walking past, as you're being forced to walk past the opposing team.
Oh, my God. Can't even begin to tell you what was chirped. Oh, my God. The movie Slapshot, not even sure it did justice to what was going on in our days.
Oh, man.
It was nuts.
Well, there was no borders. You could say
No.
whatever you want. I mean, there's no rules to it.
I think if I had my head cut off once, I had it cut off 150 times a month. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you had to
Well,
back up.
Is there one moment where you still shake your head about it, just like that was as violent a hockey game as I ever played? Well,
Might have been the bench clearing brawl in Boston when we called Phil Roberto. I was with Montreal, and Montreal, Boston, as you know, is just, Northeast Canada, United States, tremendous rivalry over the years. And Derek Sanderson was on the Bruins. He played for Niagara Falls in junior. Phil Roberto was from Niagara Falls, also played there. They knew each other really well. We called Phil up because Phil was a tough character. John Ferguson, of course, and Ted Green were the resident heavyweights in the NHL at the time. I mean, major league nasty heavyweights, and they were different than the heavyweights like the Probert Kosar years, Ozzy, and that kind of stuff, because those guys in those days, they could fight like crazy, like wild dogs, but they also would just they take pieces of your body apart when they had to with their sticks. I mean, it was nasty. It was nasty stuff. So we had a bench clearing. We had 5 or 6 bench clearing brawls in one game in Boston. It was just continuous. It was crazy. And in those days, the first guy that left the bench got $100 fine. So the first fight that we had, Ferguson jumped on the ice and tried to equalize everything up, and he got the $100 fine. 10 minutes later, another brawl breaks out, and Fergie's on the bench. If he jumps on the ice, he's going to get a suspension. So what's he do? He goes down the end of the bench. He picks up Ernie Wakely, the spare goalie, and he throws him on the ice. So he's the first guy on leaving the benches, and it went from there. That fight ended up in the stands, much like, do you remember Milbury and the Rangers, Ozzy? That one at Madison Square?
Man.
Well, this one preceded that, where Phil Roberto was on top of Sanderson. He had him on the ground between the chairs, 6 or 7 rows behind the bench. The next thing he remembers, he wakes up in the dressing room. A cop hit him over the head with a billy club, knocked him out. Sanderson goes back on the ice and starts fighting. I mean, it was just total mayhem, John. So, yeah, was that fun to play in? Absolutely not. No. And actually, it was one of the first games I ever played in. We got called up from Houston, Danny Grant and I at the same time, and we played with Jacques Lemaire that night in Boston. We lost the game 5-3. We were the kid line. We got all 3 goals. And, I mean, it's like, holy Jesus. Come on. This is crazy stuff. But you had to have eyes in the back of your head. You had to know where all these tough guys were and guys that were looking to hurt you, and that's the way it was.
What about Olympia? What was Olympia Stadium like? Because it was, I went to a few games there, but I can recall everybody being, not everybody, but a lot of people being dressed up. It was a different era, certainly. What was it like for you at Olympia Stadium?
Well, Olympia was a little bit unique in like Delvecchio was my centerman for a couple years, and he knew the backboards to the left or the right of the goalie, and me being a right winger would be to the left of the goalie. You dump the puck in, and if you dumped it in too close to the net, now there was no trapezoid, none of that stuff. The goalie could play it. If you went too far into the corner, the puck went onto the near boards. If you hit that certain board right between what I'm talking about, it would come right back out to about the face-off dot. So as a right winger, boy, you get steaming down the right side. Delvecchio dumps the puck off the end boards. Defensemen are flat-footed, and I was able to just walk right into it and tee it up and rip it at the goaltender. Those are good days. Yeah, that was, and they had the sky boxes, the wing high boxes, and it was right over. I mean, they're right over almost the boards in Olympia. Yeah, very, very, very confined and very, very. What would the word be? It wasn't comfortable either, but great ice. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We will transition to, and I would guess your favorite TV partners are kind of like choosing your favorite kid, or maybe your favorite wife in your case, Mick.
You slid that in there, Mick.
3 for a quarter.
But I mean, but you work. I'm going through the list, and everybody knows it's Ken Daniels and Dave Strader, and we'll get to those guys in a second. But I'm going through the list, and I'm seeing you worked at CBC, NHL on ESPN with Dan Kelly, Mike Lang, and Sam Rosen there.
Mhm.
I mean, three legends in professional hockey. And then, of course, the NHL on Fox, and then ultimately, it was Pass, and then Fox on Fox Sports Detroit, and then and then Valley, and then FanDuel. We loved when you worked together with the great Dave Strader, and obviously Dave had an opportunity to move to ESPN. Tell me about this establishing that chemistry with the late great Dave Strader.
Well, I think what stood out about Dave the most of all was that he respected the game tremendously. I remember when Jimmy Lights called me, and he said, "We're going to bring a kid in. They were going to split up TV and radio at one. I guess they were simulcasting." And he said, "I'm going to bring this kid in from Glens Falls. He's never done TV before. He's never done the NHL before. So I need you to show him the ropes and hold it together while we teach him what's going on here." So I remember the first night we worked a game, and Dave was we were waiting to get on. We're up in the gondola area, and he was swaying back and forth, nervous. And I said to him, "Dave, if you don't stop swaying back and forth, you're going to make me dizzy. It's only a hockey game. Relax." So we're playing Minnesota. And I said, "We're not very good." It was 1985. "No, we're not a very good team, Dave." "Well, we got beat 10-1 that game." And after the game, I remember Toby Cunningham, Channel 50. He says, and somebody said, "Well, we're going to pick, I don't know who scored the goal for Detroit. It might have been Duguay. So pick Duguay as a star." I go, "We got beat 10-1, for God's sake." And Strader goes, we get finished, and Dave goes, how did you know that?" I said, "Not real tough, Dave. We're not a very good team." But I remember also in that Minneapolis Stadium, I don't know if it was that night or not, but Steve Eisenman and Gerard Gallant were standing out with the stick rack. I don't think it was that night. And they're shaving their sticks down, and Dave and I come walking in towards the dressing room, and Steve goes, "Oh, God, here comes those TV guys. We never win when you're around." And I looked at Steve, and I said, "Steve, I got news for you. you don't win much when we're not around either. And that team that year got 40 points. He and I laugh about that to this day. And he said, you got me there, Mickey. Those were tough times right after his start.
Well,
he began here in 83.
And Ozzy and I have talked about that. I think what we tried to create, even when the Wings had an off night, that we were going to be entertaining. And I think all three of us are on the same page there. That regardless of what happens on the ice, you want to stick around after the game, because that was really the best television I think that we could create aside from the game action was getting you to tell stories, and of course getting the knucklehead goalie to weigh in as well. So,
well, I think what we figured out very quickly from the feedback that you'd get, around town and stuff, is that people really enjoyed that, whether we won or lost. Because they hearkened for the old days, and the stories and the memories. We talk about legacy and tradition. That's all part of it. The things that we talk about were etched in the memories of a lot of older fans who then, would pass it on to their children and so on. And that's what the great legacy about being a part of an original six is all about. The years, here we are at 100 years, like the Rangers and the Chicago. And people really love that. And for me personally, John, I've always had the lighter side of the game in my mind, even when I was a player. When I wasn't big on stress and, this is the biggest game in the world. Yeah, every game's a big game, for God's sake. And so, I'd be singing, I'd be playing music in the warm-up, I'd be singing as I'm warming up, and just, to lighten up the moment. So what I've found over the years is that if there's humor, there's always humor, and Ozzy knows this better than anybody, that being on the bench, being on the ice, part of some of the things that are said, oh my God, they're priceless, but they always don't belong in one or two places. If it's there and it presents itself and it fits, then I would go for it. And if not, you just leave it alone. And I think that was the key for me. When I now, after 47 years of broadcasting, I go, you know what, it's the double E. Educate, which I love to do with the telestrator and teach the game, and entertain. And it works. And the feedback that I get is second to none. I can tell you one quick story. I remember somewhere along the line, the last 10 years or so, some lady somewhere said, I just want to tell you, you've taught me all I know about the game of hockey. And I looked at her and I said, that may be the greatest compliment I've ever received as a player or a broadcaster. It doesn't get any better than that for me, John.
Well, share the Bill Ford story that you told me just the other day.
That's true.
The chairman of Ford Motor Company was the Bill Ford story that you shared just the other day. That he told you.
Trip Tracy and I went to meet with Jim Farley and Bill Ford, and we were in Bill's office. I've been there before many times, but Bill plays, by the way, still plays, and he skates with the Red Wing alumni from time to time as well. But we sat in there for 45 minutes talking hockey, and he couldn't get enough of it. And he said to me, sometimes I don't have a whole night to watch the whole game, but he said, I make sure that I get the post game with you and Ozzy and Keating, because it's so much fun and entertaining to listen to. I can't miss that. So I always tune in for that. I make sure. Yeah. And I said, that's good stuff. The chairman of the Ford Motor Company can enjoy our banter after the game, then we're doing all right.
And he can put up with Ozzy, which not everybody can say, right? Isn't that the case, Oz?
I think they've learned. It is. Well, absolutely. Ozzy, you can speak to that. When you first started, how did you feel, and how do you feel today, doing the same thing that you did? I don't know. When did you start? How many years ago?
He was scared to death. He was scared to frickin' death is what he was.
I was amazed when I was talking to John, and he told me we did it for 10 years. I was like, really? That's just like that, like so fast. And so I done it, I think 12 years. And when you recommended, well, I think Ozzy might be good at that. I remember I got a call. I'm like, really? And I was coaching with Blash in Grand Rapids at the time. And that was wearing me out. I can't really tell you why, but it was wearing me out. And traveling around those little towns in New York and around the AHL, which I had a blast doing. He won the Calder Cup geez, Mick, I did that when I played. I can't do that when I coach. So I'm like, I got to adjust this, or this isn't going to last very long. So went and started doing TV, really nervous, didn't really know what to expect. Then realized what you said. Like it's no matter what happens in the game, win or lose, it's my job to entertain people at all and teach them the game and have fun doing it and put some humility and some humor and try and get endeavor and kind of try to get each and every game and it kind of evolved into that little post game show
Yeah.
where you come out of that and all next thing you know, we got ruckus crowds around us and it's looking like game day on a Saturday, which was a blast doing and enjoyed every minute of it. And so, and yeah, I missed it a bit, but it's upwards or onwards still. So.
Well, you played with so many Hall of Famers through those years and through that 25-year run that you were a big part of. Holy jumping. You got more stories than a monkey on a high wire. I mean, that's what people want to hear, those things, you know? Those guys are, and as we found out last weekend, oh my God, guys can go 6 months, a year, 2 years and never see each other and open the door and there's a guy and boom, it's right on. It's on right away, John. Like they were never apart. That's the greatness of the game of hockey and the guys that for the most part, the guys that play the game, all good guys.
You see all those guys, you can tell me you enjoy seeing which guys, because never just one. You enjoy seeing everybody. It's great stuff. Like Dallas Drake. But when I ran to Brendan Shanahan, when he was the president of the Leafs. Gray hair, stressed out, didn't look great. Now I see him a couple of years later. Now he's working for the league, not working for the Leafs. The hair's back to a normal color. The skin looks better. He looks happy. I told him, I said, you look completely fantastic, but the pressure of Toronto, and it's just relentless there, right? Just to put it in perspective. Shanny he looked like Ralph Furley back in his company. So now he looked like George Clooney. And I told him, I said how great he was. So I love talking to Shanny about that, but the stories. Jonathan Erickson, last draft pick, I talked to him for a while. His son is a goalie. He couldn't believe it. He's like, what am I going to do? He's a goalie, years old. I can't believe it. He's just stressed out about it. I go, don't worry, it's a long ways to go. I said, if he has your height, you got it lit. It's perfect. So it's always stresses guys out if their sons are goalies that played out. Keith Primo included. His son was in Montreal. He's bounced around it. But it's almost like they go through a phase of they can't believe it. To, is he really doing this? To, yes, he's doing it. To now I can't take it. To now I got to accept it. So it's great.
You know, I watch when some of these young goalies come in the league and they play their first game and most of the time the parents are there. Being the parent of a goalie, I can't imagine that because of, you guys are so vulnerable back there. You're the last line of defense and pucks are going to go in for the most part whenever they decide to go in, right?
Was such a panic in the playoffs or when she's there. I told her I can't see you because I wasn't nervous, right? I was just playing. She'd make me worried knowing how nervous she was. Like she's going to have a breakdown. Couldn't even look at her. She'd walk around the rink. I remember we played Colorado when I fought Patrick Law. I go, I'm not so sure you can come to this game. You got to be able to handle this. Like in a full panic, like, geez. But it's tough, and you can see it.
Yeah. From
young parents all the way up to when their son's still playing NHL.
Well, you mentioned the pressure in Toronto, and Mick, you can speak to this because I gotta believe it was similar in Montreal, that everybody was so focused on the team, wanting them to do well, especially in the Canadian cities. As we were speaking about a few moments ago, you had the right attitude that you're whistling, you're loving where you are. Some players, and you could speak to this if you would, they, can't deal with the stress of playing in an environment like that. Have you seen some of that?
In Montreal, John, Danny Gallivan, the great Danny Gallivan. And by the way, back to your play-by-play guys. There was Jigs McDonald I worked with.
Sure. Yeah.
Who just retired in Buffalo. Oh, God. Worked for the Sabres. Rick Jenneret. Oh, my God. Dan Kelly and Bob Cole and Danny Gallivan. Danny Gallivan worked for the Montreal Canadiens, did play-by-play of the Canadiens game for 24 years. They won 12 Stanley Cups in 24 years. I mean, really? I mean, But yeah, I was the beneficiary. I've been able to be on the side of those guys. Oh my God, you couldn't get. You talk about Hall of Famers, both on the ice and off the ice. My goodness, that's where it all started for me. But anyway, I'm getting a bit off track. But
Do you remember all your hat tricks? Because ironically, the guy that I used to know sends me a text today. Now I'm going out with you today of a ticket from Vancouver. I got it on my phone. You can't really see it. There's a ticket. Okay. It's January 12th, 1973. And on it says Mickey Redmond hat trick on the way to 52-goal season. And first Detroit Red Wing ever to score 50 in a year, Alex Del Vecchio. And then it has you sign this ticket.
wow,
And he has it as
what's the price on the ticket?
the price $5.
$5.
1973.
You know,
Yeah,
There it is.
it's $5.
Yeah, $5.
you know what's interesting about that you're bringing this up? Last week, I came across a program from Vancouver. And after that 50-goal year that I had, somebody chronicled how and when I got them. So I'm looking at this thing, and I go, wait a minute, something's weird here. The first 9 games or 10 games, I had 3 goals in October and early November. And fast forward to the last, we played 78 games. The last 38 games, I had 31 goals.
That's
and
incredible.
I went,
That's
and they're all
incredible.
chronicled. And I'm looking at this and going, this is ridiculous. Oh my God. But I remember one of those hat tricks was against the Canucks. Yeah. And it would have been that night. When was that? In October?
It was
November?
I'm working the technology.
Oh my God.
It was
oh my
at
God.
the Pacific Coliseum.
Yeah.
Remember that? It was dark rink. January 2nd.
Okay.
January 12th on a Friday night. So you hadn't done into it yet. So you're feeling pretty good still. It wasn't a Saturday or a Sunday game. You're fresh as a daisy still.
Yeah.
And 1973. I was I was born November 26th, 72. So I wasn't even 2 months old at that point when you tickled the twice for
Yeah, but you
Oh,
know all
man.
about it now, though.
2 months
Yeah,
old.
I was
Yeah.
getting primed up for the post game by scoring 3 on the, probably but Suitcase Smith or who was the other goalie?
King Richard wouldn't have been there yet. He
Oh
was
my
later.
God, Dunk. I forget his last name. All characters. Suitcase Smith,
Why-
just John.
Yeah,
In those days, the
was he
goalie
called-
could go to
why
center
was he
ice.
called- Why was he
Well,
called
because he got
Suitcase?
traded so often.
That's right.
Oh,
Hank
okay,
Snow, I've been
okay.
everywhere. Del
Okay,
Rio,
all
Chicago,
right.
Fargo, Minnesota, Buffalo, Toronto, Winslow, Sarasota, Ottawa, Toko, Oklahoma, Tampa, Panama, Lapaloma, Lambdas, Almador, Albuquerque. That was Suitcase Smith. And when there'd be a delayed penalty against the other team, Smitty would come to center ice and get involved with the six skaters. You could do that back in the day.
It was Gary Smith. It was Gary Smith and Ed Dick. DYCK.
Oh,
Those are the two bullets. I'm
You-
thinking
Oh.
you just
Eddie.
wanted to say DYCK on the podcast. That's,
I did.
you're making that up. But
oh,
what was
those
that feeling
goals.
like? What was that feeling like going to the rink when you're on that kind of a run, knowing that more than likely it's going to go in? You're feeling really, really good about your chances, your offensive
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, no question about that. I mean, my job was to score goals, and in a lot of cases, if I didn't score goals, we're gonna have a tough time to win a game. 3-4 power plays a night. I always felt that if I was doing what I was supposed to do, I'm good for 3 to 5 shots a night, and if that happens, they're gonna get a couple of grade A chances, and they're going in. Yeah, and your eyes would light up bigger than saucers. I mean, I used to. My dad had a great shot. He played senior A hockey, played in the Pacific Coast League, and he was a good skater. He was a tough guy, like my brother. My brother took after him, brawling all over the place, but my dad had a good shot, and he said, if you don't work on this shot every day, you're not going to have one of the best shots in the league. Every day, all day. I broke more furniture in our house than you can imagine. Just shooting pucks at tables,
Eddie.
and oh my God.
Yeah. Because you just, John, when you're younger, you just make a net. Like you make a net out of it. You
Yeah.
put 2 chairs there. There'd be like an old card table.
Yeah.
And you put a blanket over the back and you start firing at that. You
Yep.
just use
Oh, yeah. Remember the old nets? The old nets
Yeah.
in the Chicago Stadium and in Olympia, they weren't just like they are today where there's a back. They had a netting that came down just behind the crossbar. And it was glorious to hit that netting and know that you shot it, John, to your point. Oh, God, yeah. And making these goalies embarrassed. I used to say, what was it? Black puck, red light, embarrassed goalie. That's the way it goes.
Well, that's
Well,
good.
and you've told the story before.
Those are good days.
But share again, I think, what your dad told you about going high against goalies to make sure that they couldn't stop the shots that were going elsewhere. You're shooting at the goalie's head, basically.
Well, the goaltenders in those days, now a few of them went down, but not many of them. I mean, they were always partially down, I guess, Ozzy, eh? But never down like they are today. I mean, the goaltender's on his knees today when the puck comes over the blue line, pretty much. And they stay on that until it's cleared out. There was a lot of stand-up goalies, but what my dad taught me, having a really good, hard, heavy shot. First of all, he said, if you can't put it around him, put it through him. Use your shot as an intimidator. Most of the goalies had no masks, so you buzz up, hit them in the head, buzz it around their ears. When a goaltender is moving his body upwards, he can't move his legs sideways. It's impossible to do. So I remember hitting Ken Dryden I tried to hit him between the eyes, but he was 6'4", and I didn't know that at the time, and I hit him in the throat. Whoop. There we go, getting excited about shooting and hitting goalies. And I hit him in the throat, and he was okay, but later I came down, 10 minutes later, right on the ice. I got 3 on him that night. He couldn't move his feet because he was afraid he was going to get it between the eyes.
Would Ken Dryden say anything to you, Mick? After you
Did
hit
he
him
what?
high? Like, would he swear at you? Would he send him back to
No,
you?
I don't
If you
know
hit
that he
him-
ever swore. Ken Dryden was different. He was he's an attorney and he was a smart guy and he was still
We just
different than
lost
most
him.
hockey players.
Rest in peace. Rest in peace to Ken Dryden. Just passed away.
No, I don't think he said. I remember him though. We played in Team Canada. Richard Martin had a cannonading wrist shot and a whatever snapper, and he said there's 2 guys on this team that just drive me nuts. And it's Martin and Redmond. And I looked at him one time in practice. I said, "Why are you shooting so high in my head?" I said, "Because I want you loosened up when we go back to Canada and United States, when I shoot on you back in the NHL." He's my own goalie for Team Canada. You'll be all right. But I used my shot as an intimidator. If you went in a corner and you had nothing to do with it, you try to hit him on the side of the head. Why not? I mean, to take every advantage you can. Why wouldn't you? There's no prisoners in this game.
Ozzy, could you imagine, and the younger people can't even fathom this, that goalies at a time did not wear any face covering, any mask, any helmet, any of that kind of stuff. Ozzy, could you imagine that? And what was the shot that dinged off your helmet that you...
When I first built my shot, Mick, it was going to be a goalie theme. So I had a stack of 8x10s of black and whites of goalies from the 50s all the way up that I gotten from this guy that I knew. I still have in my basement. And I love looking at pictures like that. Or I have the one of Ken Dryden standing on a stick on the net. I have pictures of Terry Sawchuk diving across the net. And what I was always amazed, it wasn't when they were standing up. It's how they're diving around in crowds with no bat, nothing. There's skates, sticks, pucks, posts. So many ways that you can get hit in this area besides just the puck. I got Gary Cheap, great photo of the map with all the scars on the masks.
Yeah.
I should go look at those again. Yeah, I should go grab 6 and go sit there and look at those photos again because they're so awesome. Well, 50 pieces of goalies and amazed at just how do you dive out at guys' feet with no helmet or mask on with those blades and those sticks, everything that could happen.
You probably met Glenn Hall, right?
Yeah, in Toronto.
I mean, Glenn Hall played 500 and some games consecutively.
Consecutively.
And they say he threw up before every game. That's how nervous he was.
Yeah.
He was like a monkey on a high wire. I mean, Jacques Plante was another one. And I mean, when Bowman had St. Louis back in those first 4 years of expansion, and we beat them twice in the Stanley Cup final, he had Hall and Plant were the goaltenders. Oh my God! And Glenn Hall stood on his head. And like you're right, sticks and skates, and let alone pucks. That's how competitive these guys were. Gump Worsley was my teammate with Rogie Vachon. Phil Muir, who's part of the Red Wing alumni in those days, they never wore masks. It was unbelievable. I remember one time in practice in Montreal, I came in, I let a high one go. I was 19, 20 years old, and right around Gump's ear, no mask. And Gump would look any excuse in the world to get off of practice. So he got really pissed off, and he skated into the corner. I went into the corner, and he took his goal stick like a helicopter blade, and he threw it at me, coming around like this to try to hit me, and I ducked to hit the glass, and then he stormed off the ice. And that gave him the excuse to go and have a lucky strike and a cup of coffee and take the little belly pad off. That was it. And Toblake never said a word. That was a Gumper.
Gump had a heater. Gump had a heater.
Oh, my God.
It was okay.
Oh, yeah. Unfiltered lucky strike and a cup of coffee. Let's go.
Well, Ozzy, what's the shot that you recall that just, I mean, I don't know if it gave you a concussion. I don't know if it was a part of the person that you've turned out to be on this podcast. What shot to the head do you recall?
It was
that went off
Weber.
your mask?
Weber hit me through screen was late in the game.
Shea Weber. Shea Weber.
He could fire
He
him.
did not, and he pounded one. I didn't see it. I think guys jumped out of the way. Of course they did, and it hit me right here, and it stunned me. I went down, and the blood's on the ice. And John Warren comes out, and they peel me off, and I go in there, and I remember I'm leaving the ice, and I'm looking at the shot clock because it was way above by the boxes at Joe Louis at both ends. Those little shot clocks, Mick, it just would say H and a V for visitor, and I had the shots. And John Hahn he used to be our PR guy. He's off the ice, and the shot never got registered. I remember I went in the room, I got some stitches. I came back out and I gave him shit because I looked at the clock again, and it still never gave me a shot for getting smoked in the head and a couple of stitches. No registered shot. I couldn't believe it. I was pissed. And, but that one stunned me for sure and left me a little bit worse for wear. But I smoothed that up in the hours following that game.
He had a cannon. He did have a cannon.
Oh, and a wicked shot.
Yeah.
And I go to like Al McInnes had a hard shot, just a rifle and cannon shot. Heavy, hard, fast.
Yep.
Like you said about practice, I was with him in St. Louis. He always rolled it over to keep it down so he wouldn't hit anybody.
Right.
Because it was that hard.
Yeah.
And respected the guys around the net and the goalies. But man, he was a great pro. I go with the best defenseman I play with, Lindstrom, Pronger, McInnes. Unreal guys I got a chance to play with. So when you're on the ice with those guys, when you watch them, Mick, you go up, they're good. But then you actually get in the top 10 seat behind them and you go, wow, are they ever good? Unbelievable.
In the third period of games now, Mickey Redmond, for a while now, has gone down between the benches, or at least at the end of the Red Wings bench. We saw you get the smelling salts a few games ago from from our friend on the bench there. I'm sure that helped your third period performance. What do you hear when you're down there that made you cackle that Irish laugh that you have?
Oh, I know it's most of what I hear. It's different today, John. Like there doesn't seem to be a lot of hate in the game like there used to be. At least it seemed like there was hate, and yet, the guys that used to chase me around and try to hurt me, after we're all retired, they're all great guys. Even the tough guys, the fighters, they're all great guys. But they had a job to do. And at the time, I was very young. I was 19 when I went to Montreal. I didn't look at it that way. Like, well, they're good guys. They just got a job to do. Jesus, criminy. I mean, they're trying to hurt you. And that didn't go over very well. But and the verbiage on the bench was ridiculous. It was just ridiculous. I mean, anything they could do to get you off your game.
Under your skin, right? Under your skin.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the word chicken shit, yellow, means you're scared. That was used way, way too often to try to, like, really? Okay. It's no place for a nervous person, as I like to say. You better have big shoulders, because that kind of stuff went on, especially if you're a certain winger. Now that the benches are on the same side, In our day, they were on opposite sides of the ice. So for a right winger, you had to go to the opposition bench twice. So 2 out of 3 periods, I mean, you might as well get some earplugs because, oh my God, it was unbelievable. But you had to get used to it, and you had to find a way to do what you're supposed to do with that going on, and guys running at you trying to take your head off. You couldn't allow that to interfere what you were there to do. So it's like, you know what? You got to focus in on your job,
Right.
and the rest of it is just you try to block it out, I guess. You don't totally, but
Wasn't it fascinating that the tough guys who had a job to do would beat the snot out of the other guy or try to? I mean, and it's intense and it's fierce, but those tough guys would see each other walking down the hall and they'd give each other a nod like, yeah, like that's I mean, no big deal, little nothing carried over from game to game for those guys because they understood what they were on that roster to do.
nowadays it's it's really I mean, a total society is upside down from our years. Maybe it was upside down then from today. Maybe a better way to put it. But a lot of these guys skate with each other during the summer in different places around the country, so they know each other like friends and neighbors, and then they go out and compete. It's different. It's society's different
Yeah.
today. You know,
Yeah.
you look at somebody sideways and they're trying to accuse you of something. It's like, really? Like, come on.
I used to
Um,
like Ozzy. I used to like Ozzy.
mean-
That's no longer the case. I don't like him anymore. I mean,
Oh, nobody
you know,
believes
so-
that.
Oh,
Nobody believes that.
well, he was on TV. He was looking sideways a few times, Mick, but there's other reasons. But
No,
now he's got a lifetime membership to Happy Hour
there's
every day.
well, there's always time for a happy hour. You know that for everybody. But John. It's different. The players will look at each other right in front of me, and I wait for, and then it's almost like a, what'd you do that for? Oh, get out of my way. But that's about as bad as it gets. I go,
Yeah, right.
okay.
Excuse
Very
me,
little
sir.
name calling.
Yeah.
A few
Right.
times, and then it gets. You know what? For me, it wouldn't bother me if there was a little more anger in the game, for sure, and not so much just whatever.
Mick, when it does show up is the playoffs.
Say
In the
again.
playoffs, it still show up. It's a
Oh, yeah.
game used to be
Yeah.
different from the regular season
Yeah.
to the play, but now more so than ever is the playoffs are a heck of a lot different. Maybe even 2 times more than they used to be.
Oh, for
Because the
sure.
hitting, the aggressiveness. Then there is that hatred, that rivalry, and
Yeah.
all that stuff goes on. So then that's when it does show up, and that's my favorite 8 weeks of the year. It's outstanding stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think the other thing too, John, is that these games are being played at such a speed race every 2 days. You're playing 3 to 3.5 games a week. The grind. Now I know these guys make a ton of dough, but I mean the grind and the hitting that goes on with the speed of the game. A lot of them are accidental hits that can't get out of the way. I look at these hits and I go, did I get hit like this? I must have at some time. But the speed is unbelievable. The skill level and the speed at which they play the game is so intense. It's unreal. And I don't know how more of them don't get hurt, but it's just amazing. So I can see where it becomes, every second day you're playing a game pretty much. And it's like, you know what, you go through it, it's 82 games, you're getting paid a bunch of money, and then of course you're hoping to play the playoffs, and that's when the game really starts. You're right, Ozzy. Yeah.
All right, what it's our delight to have you back on. You're welcome at any time here. We can listen to your stories all day. And I, personally, you were great to thank me on my way out the door, and you're still nudging me a little bit to circle back at some point, which I get a huge kick out of. But I can't thank you enough for your time here today.
Well, you know what? I think there's never enough time to talk about legacy, and now you're part of the legacy, John, because you did what you did for so many years, right, in Michigan. Not only when you started in Denver, didn't you?
Grand Rapids to Denver and then to Detroit
Yeah.
for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're part of the tradition and legacy, and which is wonderful. Good for you. And so we still have a lot of things. you think about it, and you just get a smile on your face. Why wouldn't you? That's as good as it gets. So you're part of the brotherhood.
All right. I appreciate that. I appreciate Ozzy, even in spite of the things that I've said, and we appreciate all the viewers, and mostly we appreciate Meyer, who has joined us on the Ozzy and Keats podcast. Meyer brings more good to every game day. The great Mickey Redmond with Ken Daniels. Let me get a quick thought on Ken Daniels, because I got to include him, and we talked of Strades, but you know, I guess the partnership that you have with Kenny is something that certainly developed over time, but you guys are recognized as the best in the game right now, and I can't let you go without congratulating you on being once again the #1 broadcast in the NHL.
Well, yeah, we are 29 years together, and I've told him this many times. He is a fabulous play-by-play guy. He works his ass off. He's got really good information. He's hooked into people around the league. He has a good call, and what's important for him, that I like, is that the call for an opposing goal is not that far off from a Red Wing goal. He respects the game and understands that, you know, there are fans of all teams in our buildings, even when we're at home, and you need to respect that as well. Different colored jerseys, but he's a hell of a play-by-play guy, and I'm really glad that on any given night he's the guy that's next to me, and he can start and I can finish, and he can finish and I can start. So that's how where we've gotten to after 29 years. I'd say it's as good as it gets, and he's one of the top 5 play-by-play guys in all of sport, not just hockey.
And he knows when to get out of the way, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to get out of everybody's way here. Mick, thanks. We'll see you down the road. Ozzy, thanks for joining us. To everybody listening and watching, thank you as well. We'll see you next time on Ozzy and Keats.
Ozzy and Keats is produced by Zachary Davis and Bill McAllister and proudly distributed by Podcast Nation in Troy, Michigan.